Welcome to this Ready to Craft. In this video, I will show you how to create a shamrock frame using Readi-Board. We're going to begin with some coffee filters. We're going to use these to create our shamrocks. I'm going to lay one out flat and get a little bit of Florist Wire ready. Then I'm going to work towards the center at 3 points, crumpling the paper as I go. This gives us 3 leaves for our shamrock. To help the shamrock hold its shape, I'm going to wrap the wire around the base. Once I'm sure it is secure, I will run the wire underneath one of my loops. If you'd like to create a variety of shamrocks, like I did, you can simply trim down the coffee filters by gently folding them. And of course, I had to add 1 4-leaf clover in. To color my shamrocks, I'm using some watercolor inks. I will first use a spray bottle to dampen each of my shamrocks. Then, either using the dropper that came with the ink or a paintbrush, I will apply my color. If you are including younger crafters in this project, you can use food coloring instead of watercolor inks. Try different techniques as you're coloring your shamrocks. Once I am done applying my color, I will set them each aside to dry. During that time, I'm going to prepare my faux wood that will make up our frame. I will include links to some additional videos that go into more detail on how to create this faux wood look. I am beginning by pressing some lines into my foam board. I'm even allowing the paper to tear at some points. I will also go in and add a couple circle shapes to mimic knots in the wood. I'm using a mixture of brown and clear wax paint as my base layer. I wanted the color a bit warmer, so I added a little bit of yellow acrylic paint. I'm using a sponge to apply this base layer. I'm also making sure to get paint in all my low-lying areas, otherwise I'll have white of the foam poking through. I took my original brown color and darkened it up using some acrylic paint. To add these details, I'm using brushes with coarse bristles. To achieve these lines, I'm very gently dragging the brush across the surface of the board. After that is dried, I will go back in with my sponge and my original base color. Notice that I'm applying the color more splotchy at this step. To add my light details, I'm back to using the brush, and I've lightened my original base color with some white acrylic paint. While those pieces dry, I'm going to begin constructing my frame. For the background, I found this beautiful metallic paper in the scrapbooking section of my local craft store. You could use metallic paint if you prefer, but this way was a lot easier and faster. I'm going to use spray adhesive to attach this to a piece of foam board. Notice that my foam board piece is much larger than the actual scrapbooking paper. Starting at the edge of my metallic copper, I'm going to measure and mark 3/16 of an inch. This is the thickness of my board and ensures that I give myself enough space to glue down the inside edges of my frame. I am planning for a slight overhang of the frame over the copper. This will let me nestle some of the shamrocks in and give the project the feeling of a shadow box. I am very gently marking how far I want my frame edge in, and then deciding from there how thick to make each side. Then I will measure and mark those as well. Once everything is measured and plotted out, I can cut away the excess. And it looks good, so I'm going to continue on. Now, cut away the excess. We're going to cut the inside frame pieces out of some of the wood that we prepared earlier. One of the sides of this foam board has a serrated edge, so I'm going to measure from the other. I'm going to have to remove a little length from each piece before I glue them down. I prefer white glue as it gives me a little more time to position my pieces before it sets. To keep things in place while I work, I use straight pins. If you're confident in your hot glue gun skills, you can certainly use hot glue. Notice how I allow one strip to extend a little long, and then I butt the end of the next one up against it. After I have attached all of the inside pieces, I will cut strips of the same width of just white foam board. These are going to go on the outside. Don't worry, we're going to cover the white edges later. I'm going to measure and cut each of my white strips 3/16 of an inch shorter than the length of my actual frame. I'm going to line up my edges on one corner. The opposite edge of this strip will have a little bit of a gap, but that space will be filled by the end of the next strip. While the glue sets, we can work on the front pieces of our frame. I like to make myself some ankle guides. Cut 2 small pieces the same width of my frame. You could theoretically just measure and do this, but for some reason, when I try it, it never seems to work out. This 1.5" piece is going to be the actual front of the frame. I still need some material to fold over this edge and to fold over the outside edges of the frame. The measurements I used were 1/2 inch, 1.5 inch to 2 inches. Before I cut this from the main piece, I'll mark my inside lines. I have a little bit of extra that I'm going to trim off. Now, using my guide, I'm going to draw these angles. You want to make sure that the longer edge of your guide is against the 2-inch section. Then I will score the 2 inside lines. When I'm scoring, I'm just cutting through the top layer of paper and a little bit of the foam. You can see I didn't go all the way through. Now I'm going to carefully bend each score mark to break the foam in that spot. Typically I use the edge of the table to do this. Remove these little sections of foam. Cut away a rectangle as you see here. Then remove this strip as well. When you're peeling the foam away from the paper, be careful of any of the distress marks that you made earlier. You can see that the distress mark actually pierced the paper and was painting onto the foam. If you're not careful, you could create a rip in your paper. Then remove these triangle pieces. I like to fold my triangles over first, and then the long skinny edge. I'm applying a very light layer of glue along the edge of the foam board, and then a tiny little bit on top that I smooth down with my finger. You could use a paintbrush if you prefer. I found that the easiest way to fold this over is to actually use the table. I'm using the foam board to sort of roll the paper into place. You can see that now all of the foam board edges are covered. Now I get to stamp my last score line. And very carefully peel this piece of foam off. Now that all 4 of my sides are prepared, I've removed the pins from the frame base. I'm lining up the corners of my edge with my base. Feel free to use pins to hold things in place. The pins may leave a hole, but they're very small and it's hardly noticeable. I'm going to attach all the faux wood frame sides first and allow the glue to set a little before attempting to wrap the edges. Similar to how we were working before, I'm going to apply glue and try to spread it in a thin, even layer. Because this is a larger area, I'm using a little piece of foam board to help me spread things around. This side's giving me a little bit of trouble because of how the paper curled. So I'm going to use a piece of masking tape to hold it in place. I'm sticking the masking tape to my clothes first to pick up a little lint. This just makes the tape a little less aggressive on my foam board. You can see right here, my wrap wasn't perfect and a little bit of white is peeking out. I will just take a small piece of scrap that I had cut away earlier and use the paper from that to patch it up. Wrap all of your sides and allow them to dry. Moving back to my shamrocks, I noticed that the side that was face down while they were drying is a lot more pale than the top. So I'm just going to wrap my wire half time around and feed it through one of the loops as we did earlier. Now the top is the bottom and the bottom is the top. I have my dry frame and a couple small pieces of masking tape prepared. This is the fun part. Arrange your shamrocks however you like. Once you find a spot that you like for one of them, use a push pin to push through your foam board, creating a hole for the wire. Then use a little bit of masking tape to hold it in place. One of the nice things about using the wire instead of, say, string, is that the wire will hold its shape. This allows you, if you'd like, to do multiple layers of shamrocks. For this one, I'm wrapping the wire around the edge of the frame, making it look like the shamrock is tumbling out. Continue to add your shamrocks until you're happy. Fluff your shamrock leaves to make them perfect. Because our frame is made completely out of foam board, and our shamrocks are very light, the entire project is very easy to hang. In fact, I only used 2 pieces of masking tape to hang mine for this picture. If you try this craft out, we'd love to see it. Our social media links can be found in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If there's a foam board craft that you would like to see a ready to craft of, let us know in the comments.